Hey everybody, welcome back to the Marvelous Podcast. I've got such a fun episode for you today. It's an interview with an amazing woman who asked me a few weeks ago, well, I guess it's been longer than that, a couple months ago, to be a guest for an online summit that she was doing called Just Own You. And I've been asked to be a part of a lot of online summits, and I love that it's kind of the public speaker's best friend right now, because while I do love getting on a stage and speaking, I have a family, and it's just not top priority right now. So I love me a good online summit because it means we can all take part in it, and the best part is it's free. But I wanted to share the story of the creator of the summit. That wasn't like a transitionary but it's free, but no, there's no buts about it. It's free. It's an amazing summit, and I'm so excited for you guys to participate. But the but is that I wanted to share the backstory of this, because I think a lot of times we connect with the purpose and even like appreciate things more when we hear the inspiration behind it and how it's created. So after being interviewed by Jessica for the summit, which we will talk about all throughout the episode, I really wanted to have an opportunity to share her story. I love being on the other side of the interview and really getting to know, more details about the people that I'm encountering in the business world. So we have that interview for you coming up right now. Tune in. I cannot wait for you to hear it. Jessica's amazing, and I am so excited for you guys to fall in love with her the way that I have. Let's start the interview. Hey guys, I'm so excited to share today's guest with you, because I'm going to be able to share something else with you really soon. Before I get confusing, I have Jessica Peterson here today, and she invited me a few weeks ago to be a part of an amazing conference. I'm going to let her tell you all about it, but I am honored to be a speaker for it. And after we did our whole interview the next week, I was, I think a lot of you guys probably got my email. If you don't get emails from me, make sure that you're signed up, because I tell you all about the good stuff. And I sent you out an email and let you know about this. And a lot of you guys clicked and were interested and are registering. And so I thought, what better way to share even more insight into this amazing online conference for moms than to have the creator and the host here. So welcome to my podcast, Jessica.
Oh, thank you so much. I am beyond thrilled that you asked me to be here today.
Well, you guys just look at her picture while we talk, because she has the cutest dimples in the world, and she's adorable. And I'm so excited that we met. I love the internet for this reason. There's a lot that we can say that's negative and kind of hard about being online, and especially going for your dreams publicly online. But one of the perks and benefits is creating new relationships and new friendships. And you just know good people when you meet them instantly, and you're one of those. And that I don't invite just anyone to be here, like we've had tons every single day. I'm getting pitched new people. So I'm really excited to share and selfishly get to know you better, because energetically I can just tell you're awesome, and I want to hear more about you, and I want to share it with everybody else so that they can make sure, first of all, they don't miss out on the conference and they don't miss out on you. So I'm really happy you're here.
I appreciate that. That is so kind. I was literally jumping out of my boots when I'm like, yeah, that lady I interviewed, she just asked me to be on her podcast. For a moment you feel famous.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm not going to downplay it. We have a really, really awesome audience here. We have a lot of people who tune in. We've been doing this show for almost 5 years now. So you're definitely going to make some new friends, and a lot of people are going to get to know you. So not to make you nervous, but you're so famous. You're so famous being on the podcast.
I feel like it. And my kids, thankfully, I'm like, yeah, I'm on a podcast. They somewhat think it's cool. I try to be cool, but
It's so cool. And it's come a long way. Podcasting, when I used to say that, people were like, I don't even know how to listen to a podcast. Now it's like, oh, I have 20 podcasts I listen to, and I'm just honored to be part of people's collection. I just got a message today from somebody who's like, I just started listening, and I listen on my morning walks. And I'm like, oh, that makes me so happy, because, you do this and you sit here most of the time, especially my solo episodes, I'm just talking to myself. And I try to envision people listening. But when I actually hear that they are, and I think, oh, they're doing what I do, because I listen to podcasts when I'm on a walk in the morning, and it's just cool. Anyway, so enough about me. Let's talk about you and the Just Own You Summit. Do you want to give a little backstory into like just your life in general? We know you're a mom. Tell us about kind of your family life and what your life looks like.
Absolutely. So I'm a mom of 4. I am the marketing director as well as the office manager for my husband's private practice. We live here in Springfield, Missouri. I haven't always had that position. My major in college was musical performance. So Broadway was my destiny. Like from a little girl, I really thought that's where I was going. And
Oh my
we,
gosh, you and me both. You and me both.
yes, I
Until I
know that's,
discovered they do 8 shows a week, and then I was
oh,
like, maybe not.
I, I still have some of that passion in me to get back into it. So we'll see as my youngest gets a little older if at least community theater will pop back into my life.
Yeah.
We'll see though. So I got married really young. So it was 2 weeks before my 19th birthday, and I was super excited. So we both went off to college, and I wanted to finish my degree. That was a big passion of mine. And we had been married a few years, and then I was finishing up my degree, and we were pregnant with my first daughter. And when I finished my degree, the way I saw motherhood, the story I told myself was, you now need to give up all of your dreams and be a stay at home mom. Not saying that being a mom wasn't part of my dream, but I didn't feel at the time that I could have any other.
Yeah.
So I was really trying to embrace that new journey as a brand new mom, and literally I picked up everything, like, oh, maybe I should start crafts. So I literally did. I started doing like craft clubs with women, reading, book clubs, different things, which are great. And I loved the organizing part of it, like putting things together. I loved being around women and things like that. But I honestly, though I didn't love crafts, I still don't. And then we added our another two more kids during no one more during school, and then he started his preceptorship, and we added a third when he was started in practice. And through that, I started building some resentment that I'm in this story of motherhood that was wonderful, but I was burnt out because I wasn't doing anything for me, and I saw him fulfilling a dream that he wanted. But at the same time, I didn't share that very much because I didn't know that I could cross the line. My husband is
Yeah.
absolutely supportive of whatever I do, but I just didn't think that I could cross the line between motherhood and career and do both. I don't know why I kept telling that story to myself. And then a couple years into my husband's practice, he realized that he wanted me to come work for him. He kept trying to find an office manager and a marketing manager that would be the fit that he'd been looking for. And he said, I'm not going to keep looking for you. I need you in the office. I need you to come work for me. And I was flattered and also completely terrified because it had been 8 years. I had been a stay at home mom. And I was like, well, okay, I guess I'll embrace this. So we prayed about it, and it was an overwhelming feeling of, you better get on that train, lady.
Yeah.
And so I got on, and probably after the initial shock, it was like a light switched on, like, you have arrived, honey. You can start working. I started feeling better about in every area of my life. I'm always a jovial person, but I wasn't actually completely myself during my motherhood when I look back, because I was trying to go through a lot of emotions, but I wasn't feeling completely full because I felt like I wasn't doing anything that I truly was passionate about besides motherhood. So I was always mother 24/7, which is a beautiful thing. And I tell moms that if that is your thing, do it all the time. For me, I needed something else, and I needed to stop telling myself that it was bad to do something else.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh man,
so
that is such. I feel like
part
that's
of it.
it's the tale as old as time at this point, right? Because for some reason there is this recurring story, and I don't know where that. I don't know if it's traditional, handed down culturally, handed down through the family, but I definitely experienced that too. I don't even think I went as, and I'm going to say extreme because it feels extreme to me, especially now looking back. Like, I didn't go pursue, like, I'm going to go be a crafter now. Like, I didn't see it as like, I have to do these things because I'm not allowed to work and I have to do this. But I did have to go through a paradigm shift of, wait a minute. And I grew up with like, mom stays at home, and I've always planned on being a stay at home mom, but the whole work from home, be an entrepreneur, do your own thing, that didn't exist very long ago. Like that's a pretty new concept that just wasn't very normal, and there was nobody to look to and say, I want that lifestyle. Our generation is really paving the way for a next generation. Like my daughter doesn't have to choose between stay at home mom or have a career. She can have both. But we really didn't have, like, it's no wonder that we had those stories because nobody else was really doing it like that.
Oh, absolutely. And then the so I had been working, and then we got pregnant with our fourth baby, and I get terribly sick throughout pregnancy, so I cut back working. I wasn't even working full time. I'd always been working part time, and it was the perfect amount for me. And I knew that after we had baby number 4 that I was going to transition more out of the picture just for baby time, immediate heal, and everything to get better. And I was a little concerned because I was getting ready to embark on my journey as an entrepreneur because I knew I wanted to do that. I loved working with my husband, and we work very well together. We had known that after a little while working together, we figured out that, Jessica, your story's pretty incredible, that you want to share with women, that they need to find what fulfills them and do it, whatever it will be. And so I started on that journey. We had our fourth baby. And again, old habits die hard. I was at home, but the things trickled back like, oh, well, I really want to do this, but baby needs me. And I know that I need to keep fulfilling myself because I'm a better mom when I do those things. So about 6 months ago, I decided, okay, I'm fully jumping in, people. I am going to be a solo entrepreneur. I am going to launch a summit for women, and there's no turning back because I've got to do this. So that's where it came from, was
Awesome.
pretty much, it's not like an overnight success story, but literally overnight, okay, no more of this. I'm starting my own business. I'm going to start a summit for women because women need help. And this was, funny enough, just before COVID hit. So the timing of it, I think, was beautiful.
Yeah.
So that's the behind story of why I really wanted to make this summit come to fruition, because I really think women need to hear other women and their stories, because as soon as we hear stories, then we go, oh, I'm not that different, or I am the same as them, or whatever. But sometimes we live in our own little box and we don't get out of it, and we just keep living on this in this box that I think we need to get out of.
Wow. Okay. I love, love your story. And this is why, even as I was starting to talk about podcasting, like before there were a ton of options out there, it was audiobooks for me. And I would have to listen to a whole book to really get like the vibe and the energy I needed to boost me up, and do the thing. And now it's so powerful. Just, I've noticed that I don't necessarily love like how-to books anymore. I really love hearing other people's stories and how they did things, which is, I thought, dangerous at first because I squirrel out and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a really great way to make money. To where I was like a photographer for a mastermind. My friends had a millionaire mastermind several years ago, and they hired me to do like the video and the photos for it. And they're like, but we need you to like plug your ears because we know how you are, and you're gonna wanna flip houses after you do this. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have like a whole MO now. Like, I'll try that. But I did. I tried a lot of different things because I was just so fascinated by all the different ways there are to be successful. And now I listen to podcasts that are very niche to what I'm doing. And it's so inspiring to hear people overcome. There's so many episodes I listen to on one of my favorite podcasts. I'm like, that's me. That's me. They totally found like my doppelganger in personality and in business style. And that's me. And it's the number one thing, the biggest takeaway is I'm like, oh, but they did it. And it worked. And I think the more times you hear about that it works, and it's not even like the vanity metric of, oh, like, yeah, they're professing all the success and it's maybe not even real. They're sharing the actual struggle and they're sharing all the steps they actually took to get there. And so when you hear that, you're like, wait, so anything literally is possible because they started with less than I have on my plate right now, like less opportunity, and they made it happen. And so I love that you're bringing that together for a summit because it's like what you focus on grows, right? And I think I might have mentioned this on my interview with you, is like when we focus our attention on things, that is what continues to expand in our lives. And so somebody sitting down for, I mean, how many days is the summit? Is it like 20, 21, 24
24.
days? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So 24 days of you tuning in to amazing people who have overcome challenges in their lives and their business and their families. You're filling your mind with all kinds of proof. You're filling it with different stories. You're replacing the stories that you're spinning in your own head every single day, because we do that, right? Like we have all this different information and we'd like to make sense of it. And then you hear actual stories from people and what they've done. And it just reframes the way you look at your potential and the way that you look at success and the way you look at like the actual truth and reality of what we're here to do. And all those limitations that you've assigned to yourself just go away, because now there's not enough proof to support that. And now there's all this proof to support all your capacity to grow and to advance.
Oh, absolutely. I think if we would embrace as women, usually whatever our mess is our message. It is
Mm-hmm.
so true. Like whatever is going in your life, start sharing it. And if you have an entrepreneurial drive at all, you should hone in on to that, because a lot of people, and every book, because I started coaching when my husband, when I started working with him, I started being coached because I knew that was super important. He had a coach, so I got some. I started reading a lot of those self-help books. The Maria,
Mm-hmm.
the Rachel Hollises, the Brendan Burchard, all of them, just eating them all
Yeah.
up because I wanted to become a better person, because I wanted to break a lot of mindset things that I had
Mm-hmm.
become, so that became a part of my story. Um, a lot of mine was I had some mindset problems with motherhood, and so now I want to share and help other moms develop better mindsets. Similar to
Yeah.
you, you're manifesting, and like a lot of women that are on the summit, generally the mess that they had in their life is what made them successful. So sometimes we
Yeah.
have to embrace that mess. And unfortunately, for years, I was trying to push a rock instead of climb over it,
Mm-hmm.
like trying to get it out of the way. But my husband would be like, "Would you stop trying to push at hard life so hard and just maybe try to lean against it or climb the rock?" I'm just a very determined person.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. And that determination is awesome. But I think I've kind of come through this realization over the last year and a half, somewhere in that range, of like our ability to push and our ability to like, do the thing. And we talked about this when I talk about manifesting a little bit. I don't know. I can't remember how deep I went into this. I know we had a really good discussion.
mhm.
I'm excited for all of you guys to go and watch it. This is, by the way, a free summit that you can register for to get all of this content, right?
Oh, absolutely. I wanted it to, especially during this time, I wanted people to get access. I didn't want any type of excuse of, oh, this or that.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's here for the taking. Go grab it. And all of
Yes.
these women have given their time to be able to do that so that we can glean from it. Whatever you jive with, go, oh, I want to learn more from this person or this person.
Yeah.
And the fact that each one of them is giving something away every day. I find that
Yep.
incredible that you've got courses, you've got ebooks, templates, a variety of writing things that are so valuable to get you into the space that you want to be. So I put that in there.
Yeah. And I just want to say to everybody too, and I'll come back to what I started to say. A lot of times, we take advantage of free and not in the good kind of take advantage, right? Like we were like, oh
Yep.
yeah, there is so much value. And I know I'm just telling you guys right now the way our brains work and our perception works. And this is why I sell content and I don't just give it away for free, because when you pay attention.
Oh, yeah.
But I want to tell you that does not devalue the free. There's so much. I've watched webinars. I don't buy all the courses. I mean, definitely I buy courses, but there's so much knowledge that you can gain from summits like this where, yes, it's free, but the knowledge is invaluable. So make sure that you guys are registering for that. What's the website? We'll just plug it right here in the middle before we keep
Right.
going. What's the website to
So it's
register?
the justownyoussummit.com. So justownyoussummit.com.
Okay, awesome. All right, go sign up, but don't step away. We're going to keep chatting. So what I was starting to say is when we're in this, when we're like movers and shakers and we're pushers, movers and shakers is kind of like a weird term that I know I used to hear on commercials, but whatever. But we are, right? Like we're
Love
very
it.
energetic and we want to make stuff happen and we want to show up and do the thing. And there is a time and a place to show up and support your efforts with your habits and to really get the work done. You know, you couldn't just sit there and meditate on how great it would be to do a summit and how much you want to help women. You have to take action. But I think that we get a little bit backwards at some point in the journey where we start to take it all on ourselves and it becomes all about the action and not about the allowing, not about like the I believe that this does have a higher purpose and I believe that this is part of who I'm supposed to be. And so I trust that everything will line up for this continue to continue to grow and to expand and to reach the right ears and to reach the right people. And it's so interesting how we just we want to drive, right? And sometimes the best road trips are when you're in the passenger seat and you're just allowing the car to get where it needs to be. It's kind of a weird analogy, but it just kind of popped up. So it's going to be really
So
interesting to
true.
see, right? Like the transition. I see that we've gone out of this culture of hustle, hustle, hustle. And I think a lot of people are still stuck there. And part of my intention is to help people understand that the hustle isn't the accomplishment. You know, like doing the really hard work is not what brings you the success and the reward. It's just allowing the creativity to flow through you. It's stopping those stories that you refer to, your own story that you've had, and I go over this. I have a program called the Prosperity Code, and I go really deep into stories and rewriting stories because they are so powerful. And even just since recording that training, I have started paying more attention to mine and
Mm.
stopped allowing those stories to continue to dictate my reality. And it's incredibly empowering. And you realize how very little truth we actually have and how much is just theory, theory, story, story. And if you can get rid of that, and that's why I started this podcast too, to really wake people up to realize like all those limits that you've created, they're completely fictional and they're completely man made and you can change them. You can eliminate them. So it's really exciting that you're able to do that and that you did that for yourself. And I know I want to talk a little bit more of like what did that feel like? What was the resistance physically? What did you experience when you were like, "No, I'm done?" And then as you started going, did you experience more obstacles that were trying to keep you back into the comfort zone or trying to tell you, "No, this I don't know." Like what were the stories that maybe new stories that popped up?
Sure, the stories when I jumped full in on my own
Yeah.
solo journey with, uh, absolutely. I did. I love that you talked on the hustling thing that we all get caught up in because for sure, for a while, and especially since it was summer, I got caught up in that. And if I wasn't working on it, I thought I wasn't productive. And that is a big lie that a lot of us
Mhm.
tell ourselves all the time. And I know that. I've been an entrepreneur with my husband for years, and he would always say, Jessica, when you ease up, that's usually when the greatest growth happens.
Yep.
So I know that my personality, I am, if you haven't already figured it out, I'm an Enneagram 3. Like seriously, like I'm like, oh, let's achieve things. Let's do this. Let's and my husband, he's very much like, oh yeah, you want to build Rome? Well, let's sit back and look at Rome and see how beautiful. I'm like, I want to build it in half a day, type of a
Yeah.
thing. Um, and that can be really dangerous. I've seen that because physically I'm so glad I didn't get sick because I've gotten sick before
Mhm.
when we built his practice. But emotionally, with COVID and then starting this, I'm so glad that he's helped pace me and go, you know what? You have done an incredible job today and this week. Can you put it down? Can you put that away? And it would be
Yeah.
like Friday or Saturday. And I'd say, you're absolutely right. So for me, having my husband as my rock and support, and also my faith, that really refocuses me on making
Mhm.
sure that I don't get completely in like surrounded by it, which in the beginning, we all know it's going to take more work than later on because
Yeah.
it's brand new. But if
Yep.
it's the only thing you're focusing on, then you end up snapping at people that you don't intend. And that ends up being my children. And I felt so bad because I'm being very transparent that has happened, and they forgive me. And when I'm like, why does everybody, can you just help me with this or that?
Yeah.
Uh, but we all got through it, and it's been such a great learning experience for me to realize that boundaries are super huge. That's a big
Yep.
thing with people. And I need to make sure I'm enforcing them on myself. I make sure that we as a family have boundaries. My kids have boundaries. The problem is usually moms, we need to set our own bedtime, our own boundaries,
Oh,
because we
yeah.
don't usually do that.
It's so true. And your good day starts with the night before, right? It absolutely does. And yet every
Yes.
single evening I'm like, "Oh, just a little bit more me time, one more episode of something. Just turn the brain off or let me read one more chapter of this book." Yeah, but it's so true. Like our habits we have to start with our own habits. And it is so interesting. I was listening to a podcast today and they were talking about, it was a man talking about the hustle he was in and how hard he was working for his family. But when it came right down to it, his values, the things that mattered most, family was at the top of the list, but it was the thing suffering the most for his pursuit. And I think a lot of us do that. And it is, we talk about this thing called balance and it feels unachievable and it feels weird and different for everyone. But at the end of the day, it's really determined by your own values. And it's okay for it to be slow. And I think that takes wisdom and experience to get there and realize these time frames we give to ourselves aren't real. Like for me, I set out to be like, I'm going to be a millionaire in 1 year. Why? Why is 1 year the marker? Why not just, I'm going to behave that way and I'm going to attract that kind of abundance into my life? Why does it matter in what timing? And anytime we assign the timing, it's out of fear, right? It's out of scarcity. It's out of
Yes.
the lack perspective instead of, I have faith that if I show up every single day and I do this and I'm completely in alignment and I'm doing what I feel called to do, that everything else will line up and fall into place. And that requires so much more of like that faith practice than just, I'm just going to think positive thoughts and write it in my journal, but then I'm going to actually go to work and stress out about everything and make it perfect. It's such an interesting
Right.
balancing act that we have to uncover
Hmm.
and work.
Oh, absolutely. Finding that balance. And a lot of times what happens is you go for it and you find out where your boundaries are. You go, okay, which is what I ended up
Mm-hmm.
doing, even more so, going, okay, I am not going to work. I never work on Sundays, but now I'm not going to work on Saturdays. That's just going to be completely family time.
Mm-hmm.
And Fridays, at a certain time, it's done. Like,
Yeah.
unless something is like over the moon and we talk about it as a family, but that needs to be my date night, my family time, etc. Because in the end, I end up showing up better when Monday rolls
Mm-hmm.
around. My husband
Yeah.
learned that as well. So we just have to, unfortunately, some people learn the hard way, and I did.
I actually think we
So,
all learn the hard way. Otherwise, we're not actually learning it. We're just hearing it, right? Like
yeah,
who do you know that actually hears somebody give advice on one thing and is like, you know what, I'm not even going to uncover that for myself. I mean, it's so rare that we do that because we're people who need to learn through experience, and so we're going to make a ton of mistakes, and that's how we learn, because it has to make sense through our own lens of experience. So I think that's actually more normal than the other way around. I think we need to stop shaming ourselves for those wrong paths, because the wrong paths are the way you find the right path. You have to make a few mistakes to understand exactly how you want the business. And I don't know, any decision to feel from the inside out. We tend to create from the exterior first because that's the data we have, that's the information we see, and we think we can make these great plans and do it, in a certain way, and we quickly realize the plan goes out the window and we create a better way because it's actually more intentional. And anyway, that's a whole rabbit hole that we could go down, but
yes,
I just think it's normal.
yes.
I think it's
No,
completely normal.
it is. And one of the things why I like this summit, when you were talking earlier, is hearing everybody's stories and how they grow. Is we read a lot of self-help books, a lot of
Hmm.
mompreneurs and things like that. And we usually see this highlight reel of, oh my goodness, wow, they made it there so fast and so
Hmm.
quick. And so we expect the same thing. But unfortunately, they left out a few chapters of their life that would really help. Like, oh, they went through this,
Yeah.
this, and this for years before. So hearing people's stories was really important. And so sharing mine, like it it evolved over a long period of time. And then when I started, I had already been in the workings of it. So when I say, yep, oh, 6 months ago, this, well, no, it took me 11 years prior to get to that
Yes.
point.
Yep.
So it wasn't like, oh yeah, she just jumped on a podcast, started a website, built everything. And yeah, that's logistical stuff, but the visioneering, the building myself up took a good 11, 12 years. So,
Yeah. Yep. And even just like the overcoming and the building up of the experience to have something to share and to understand the perspective. Yep, totally took a lot longer. And I think that's the phrase, right? Like overnight success took 6 years, or my overnight success took a decade, something like that. It's so true. There's so much that goes into building up. Because I even think about now from 5 years ago, when I first started this podcast, so much of what I was teaching and sharing, the reason I needed guests on the show was because for me it was all theoretical. I was learning about these concepts through books and kind of experiencing them, and I had just started out in the world of like e-commerce, and I was learning how to make money online. But it now is such a different thing to where I could launch something and it'll be incredibly successful because I have given myself 5 years to learn, first of all, the ways not to do business, the ways that I don't want to earn money, and the things that do not work. And I will,
yes.
I could have overnight success tonight because of all the time that I've put in. But if you don't get started, if you don't go to the summit, if you don't sign up for the program, if you don't do the thing and you don't launch it, you don't put something out there, then you're just making it even slower till you hit your overnight success day.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's part of the reason I think people like me hustle so hard is,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I don't want to miss out. And I'm going to tell if there's any moms out there, you're not going to miss out on anything
Yeah.
because they're always going to need your voice. We tend to think on, like you were saying, this limiting mindset, like, oh, we've already got enough of these people, enough of these. Nope. Guess what? People are having babies every day. There's always going to be more people. There's always going to be enough money. There's always going to be enough, not just enough, plenty for
Yes.
everybody. So, whenever you start your journey, whether it's this year or 10 years from now on whatever you want to be, it's going to be perfect timing for you.
Yeah. Amen. Okay, so everybody's going to go check this out. They're going to go register for the summit. I'm interested. I know I've seen all the names and the people who are speaking, and I know what I'm talking about, which is manifesting and, mindset, all the good stuff that I love to talk about here on the podcast. Can you tell, and I don't want you to pick favorites, but can you tell me some of the things that you're really excited about to share? Like you've interviewed everybody at this point. So what are some of your personal highlights from the summit?
Man, there's so many good pieces. Yours was definitely, oh, top 10. No, not top 10, top five. It was
Yes.
excellent. So make sure you,
Oh, good.
I wanted to end her because it was a beautiful way to end this whole summit. So it was fabulous.
Good.
And I love the fact that I was learning during yours. I'm like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
girl, I have got to take all of your courses. Um, there was some time management. I loved that one because she does time audits for women on your life. And I thought, whoa, I might be embarrassed on some of the things that I do every day that I go, oh, yeah, that was a really beautiful interview that day. Some other ones were people that were talking about their specific journey. Theirs was similar but different to mine.
Mm-hmm.
So I connected really well. It was interesting that they had a really similar story to mine. And now she impacts women as well, but she does it through a podcast and writing. Writing is her format that she likes to help women. I love to speak.
Yeah.
So we all have our different go tos. Some others were body image. That was a huge one that came up because women, I don't know one woman that has not had some type of struggle, whatever shape, size, or whatever, with either food, exercise, or loving themselves wholly.
Mm-hmm.
And I have multiple different women that came on and talked about that because I want to break that. I know that I have been through that, especially after you have babies. We kind of do a little bit of loathing, excuse me. And that makes me so sad because I've done it to myself and I don't like it. And I quickly change and I go, no, 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 don't think that way. And I
Mm-hmm.
think women need help in that area because they need to love themselves and how wonderful they are, however they're made. And so those were some beautiful topics, as well as we have a couple women that talk about depression, anxiety. I cannot even tell you some
It's
of
just loaded.
the top. They're all so good, but that's a variety of different topics there that I literally tried to get every type of event that a woman could have emotionally, physically, or even spiritually, and how they could reshape their thinking in whatever capacity they're trying to excel at.
Awesome. Well, I'm really, really excited to be part of it. I love joining forces with other women. I think, and if you're listening to this and you're thinking, see, it's already so saturated. I wanted to do a summit and now I can't because Jessica did it. I will tell you that in the 5 years that I've been in the online space and I've worked with women, there is literally no such thing as a shortage of space for you. There's not. And I know you might hear this again and again and again, but it's not just blowing smoke. The only competition that needs to exist, well, it doesn't need to exist. The only competition that usually exists is inside your mind. And there is so much space for you
Mm-hmm.
to create. And if you feel compelled to do it, and if you feel like there's a purpose for you to create a business or to step out and be an influence, do it. There's a reason you're feeling called to do it. And if we
Oh,
ignore that,
absolutely.
go ahead.
I was going to say there were multiple women that either reached out to me because the timing didn't work because they were in a different summit. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not kidding you. How many people said they couldn't be a part of mine because they were launching another one? And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, that's fabulous. Let's stay connected so we can do another one. And so now they happen all the time. It's kind of like Taco Bell and McDonald's, they're always everywhere. Kind of like summits are now you're going to start seeing them everywhere. So why not launch your own? Because it's so
Yeah.
impactful for so many women, or maybe you're a male audience, whatever you choose to do.
Yeah. Well, I'm really excited for everybody to come and check it out. I'm happy to be a part of it, and I can't wait to participate and learn from others because learning never stops. So I'm excited to binge and watch everything that you have recorded and provided. So, guys, make sure that you do go register. Again, it's just ownYouSummit.com. Get signed up. Mine is the very last day. I think we're airing this somewhere in the middle of the summit. So if you are joining now, you can still catch up, watch things, but definitely join in. Thank you so much for sharing your backstory, Jessica. I'm excited to see you continue to grow and I had this very distinct impression as we're talking. It's like, okay, you're just getting started. This is the very first step, and it's going to be really exciting because I know that in a flash, it's going to seem like in a flash, you're going to be very successful, and a lot of people are going to know about what you do. And it's all because you've taken that first step. So I'm honored to have you in the beginning of this part of your journey here on the podcast. And I can't wait for people to follow along and gain from the things that you're sharing. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. This has been an absolute pleasure. It's like red carpet for me today. So thank you.
Do you have any final thoughts you want to share with everybody before we go?
Last thing I tell moms is stop guilting yourself and focus on the amazing things that are about you. And you will conquer more when you focus on the good that is in your life and the good that is about you than focusing on the have nots and things that you want to change. Not that it shouldn't pull you forward, but I really want women to love themselves, love their journey, and stop guilting themselves as well. So see the good in yourself.
I love it. It's so true. It sounds so simple, but it's so powerful. It's so, so powerful. If you can change that perspective and change that story, you will change the world. So I love that. Great parting advice. Thank you again for being on here. And to the rest of you guys, we'll see you on the next episode. Have a marvelous day.